Hello to everybody watching and listening, and once again, welcome back to Mechabellum. Yeah, I kind of have to open up with an apology as this game gets underway. Yesterday, I think I stayed up a little too late and tried to make videos, so I was slurring my words and not really mumbling coherently. I am in better shape today, at least for the moment. If it gets later, of course, that will change, but I don't have that many more replays to cast. I kind of want to get them out of the way before the next update to the game drops and not necessarily invalidates, but most likely will invalidate all of these replays. Anyway, I am playing as Marksman Specialist with Sledgehammers, Arclights and Crawlers, and of course Orange Man here, against Shadow, Cost Control Specialist, and he is playing some aggro with Steel Balls, Fangs, and Arclights. He literally has 0 units over here, but unfortunately, the vast majority of my crawlers, or maybe fortunately, who knows, are going in this direction here. Now, the Orange Man is going to be absolutely amazing against these Steel Balls once they are exposed. Even under the tower debuff, you can still see the impact on the health bar of these Steel Balls. And I will somewhat soon-ishly be getting a tower debuff myself, so the first round is looking like it's probably going to go to me. I don't remember everything about this game, but yeah, I remember that we have some higher-leveled War Factory plays on my opponents. And when I say higher-leveled, I'm not necessarily sure if he's just very, very good with it. Or if he simply, is leveling this War Factory up quite a bit. I do have noted in my... Oops, that was the mute button for a moment, sorry. I have noted rare War Factory plays. Oh, anyway, let's see. Opponent is going for some more tanks. I apparently like some crawlers in this case. I rarely do that, get these crawlers. Maybe I was tired at that time anyway. I get some additional sledges simply to slow the advance of the steel balls. My opponent is putting sledges right here. Not even putting a missile here. I guess that was to prevent myself from being crawler backdoored. That said, these crawlers are absolutely unopposed, so they just go after both towers and drop them. Do I need to show this turn, this round? Not really. I mean, let's just be honest. If the opponent gets double tower debuff and it's aggro, then you expect that side to win unless there's something really spicy going on. New unit drops. The Typhoon would be here. Fortress, also Rhinos or Hackers. I decide to go for the Fortress. Definitely a good unit, I think. Especially to eat those tanks. My opponent goes for the Rhino. Mr. Heavy Melee Bot, what will he do? I don't remember if he actually used it. Anyway, there is a steel ball with a level now, but that fortress will destroy these steel balls, and it won't be taking a long time for it. It will do so very quickly. That said, the same goes for the other way around. If these crawlers lock onto the fortress, they will do absurd amounts of damage rather quickly. The tanks should hopefully help prevent that. He's dropping more and more tanks, apparently a tank in the middle. He also dropped... here is the Rhino. He also dropped more sledges in my flank. And, of course, the Rhino down here, which is going to be... is probably going to be single-handedly winning this side, no matter what I put here, unless it's a very distinct counter. Okay, the sledges apparently go here. He really is kind of surrounding me with sledges. Anyway, crawlers get to work, but this is a level 3 Rhino. It's not going to go down to just some crawlers. I have a missile here that is hopefully going to defend this at least a bit, but I guess the tanks will trigger it beforehand, and these tanks will also move in, so yeah, it's just a matter of time before that tower goes down. That said, the vast majority of the fighting has already kinda ceased. Like, there's a couple more enemies here, but nothing really that I would classify as significant. This needs to be destroyed. That is... yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is what I was talking about. Steel balls, once they lock on, do insane damage. but they need to log on. From what I tested, they need about 4 seconds to ramp up to maximum damage, and once they do have maximum damage, they do, I think, like 10,000 DPS. Or is it even more? I'm not sure. Fire or nuke my opponent skips. I just put some fire down because, well, it's on my side of the map, so he can't even really stop it. Another fortress is hopefully going to defend the other side. At least that is what I would do right now if I were playing this game. Fortresses are really good against rhinos in my experience, so long as the rhino doesn't get in close enough. My opponent also drops some crawlers here, but I already have the tanks for chaff clear. Some additional crawlers here. All things considering, the fortress will hopefully eat the sledges and then also the rhino and get some decent levels of it. I decide to put some crawlers on my opponent's side because he is absolutely not a fan of defending against anything so far. He also sold something. Ah, yeah, he sold one of the steel balls, I think. These tanks did... no, I think it was one of these steel balls that actually destroyed the fortress because they got in. Fire should help with chaff clear. This turn at least. This round at least. Why am I... No matter how many times I do it, I'm still annoyed by it. Anyway, this side is being cleaned up. Crawlers have slowed down the rhino, but the rhino will do a good amount of damage to the fortress. However, the tower is about to fall, and that means that this fortress gets an instant level and can eat some additional tanks. Everything got cleaned up very nicely, and my opponent is starting to feel the impact of the fortresses. Shield, intensive training, haste module, and I think this is where the War Factory spicy plays start. So my opponent got elite recruiting. I think he sold the rhino to get that. And immediately put out with intensive training a level fucking 3 War Factory. I was, at the time when I saw this, not even able to wrap my head around how it is even possible to get a level 3 War Factory without a unit drop. I never figured at the time that you could just level your unit with elite recruitment and stack that with intensive training. It makes perfect sense. It even makes perfect sense to do that for a War Factory, which costs upkeep. But I just plain did not expect it. And I am very much so not prepared for it in any way, shape or form. This thing here is officially useless other than keeping my enemy away from this tower. Steel balls, however, are moving in, and my entire front line is being destroyed by a level 3 War Factory, spewing out level 3 tanks. I do get the tower before my opponent, but I'm not even sure I want that. I guess it reduces the amount of damage I get right now, but let's just be honest. There is nothing on my side of the board that can even remotely compete with this level 3 War Factory spewing out units that are capable of destroying my fortresses. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, I get another tower debuff here, but, and I mean the fortress is getting some very juicy levels, but it can't do much else, and once the War Factory locks onto, it's just 3 more salvos and the level 2 fortress goes down. And I think I have to let my cat out, so please bear with me being away for a moment. Alright, now that I'm back, I could take Electromagnetic Blast, but I decided to go for the Amplifying Core. My opponent is starting to pile the techs onto the War Factory, and do keep in mind that this thing is almost to level 4 right now. The fortress here is also level 4, but it is not capable of doing as much damage as this War Factory, simply because the War Factory also produces Phoenixes and Steel Balls. I kind of was maybe hoping to get some kind of Battle of the Titans there. In theory, this thing does significant amounts of DPS, even to a War Factory. but in practice it doesn't really have the tools to get close and do the damage, because it's always shooting at chaff. I'm dropping down some Scorpions. In theory, it would also have been possible to just freaking sell that war factory and switch into something else with the entire amount of money, like mass upgraded fortresses and stuff. Though I guess the Scorpions wouldn't have been bad against that either. I'm dropping the crawlers back here, but my opponent is preparing against it right now. Other than that, I think I didn't do all that much. I was basically trying to get a giant out that can somewhat compete with this thing and fight on a similar level. All in all, there is not much hope for me getting a cheap tower snipe here, and the Scorpions are starting to really wreck these steel balls. That said, are they going to be enough? These are unupgraded, unleveled Scorpions, which are definitely not good against war factories. They do, however, do a decent amount of damage, and they definitely help clear the stuff that comes out of these war factories, and they will almost inevitably level. Now, the war factory easily cracks everything I have, gets the tower, will take out the only anti-air that I have right now, so let's fast forward this to its inevitable conclusion. And inevitable is the key word here. Look at these steel balls go. But look at the fortress XP go. Even the war factory now takes a long time to get it dead, but it's just one fortress.